Hiya, and welcome back to Devil's Gambit. The game that teaches us that the nose is honkable. What happens if I click on it? Nothing! Nothing happens. I'm sad now. Anyways, let's just hop right in. Okay, so we're fucking dying. I reach the hospital with ragged breath and with weary feet. The trip from town to the Duke's mansion and back isn't as easy as I remember. A gray-maned lion mans the reception. When I show him the badge, he looks at my heaving body with sympathy before producing a massive worn-out book and dropping it on the desk with a slam. God. Please let this be my last startle of the day. The lion explains what is expected of me. The hospital hosts the patients in the direst conditions, while those who can move are sent back home, where they receive care from their assigned doctor. I must do 6 hours worth of work a day. 2 must be on duty in the hospital, while for the rest I can be assigned to a resident instead. I can choose to do more for a bigger salary, too. When asked about the schedule, the line says it changes regularly. It's always on display at the reception, so it's my responsibility to check it every day. I'd rather care for those at their home. The line opens the book, a record of patients, and looks through it as he writes my name in 4 entries. Finally, he grabs a map of Renai, circling some locations and adding a name next to each before handing it to me. Try not to lose that. To finish up, I'll give you a quick tour of the hospital. It's mostly so you know where everything is and are familiar with the equipment. Alright, that sounds like a good idea. Paulo! Cover for me for a moment! Dusk is falling over Renai by the time I get out of the hospital. A wolf in dark clothes walks around, checking the lamps and refilling them with oil as needed. Everyone else is heading home or to a tavern for dinner. Arwell's nest is more alive than ever. The bustling of dozens of drunken wolves shake the building. The dragon's smile makes me feel better when I sit at the bar. Rough first day, friend? No, aside from a lot of walking. I'm still tired from the trip, I think. Did Cadgan come by? Didn't see him. Did you need him for anything? No. Okay. No. Are you hungry? Arwell gets me a piece of bread, meat, and a bit of fruit. Thank you very much. When did you settle here, Arwell? More or less 5 years ago. Mine was a family of merchants. We ran away from our home when we learned that a rebellion was approaching. I'm trying to give him like a Meat Canyon voice. Like, Meat Canyon. Please tell me you know who that is. You better. Trying to give him a Meat Canyon voice. And I feel like I'm failing. All the way to Renai? Oh no. They stayed in a nearby country. The fucking laptop! No! No, you're not updating. No, because you'll fucking explode. Oh no. They stayed in a nearby country. I split off and kept going east. While Arwell is talking, I ripped the bread in 2 pieces and put what fruit and meat remained between them. It's such a tight fit that I have to figure out how to hold the makeshift sandwich so it doesn't fall apart. I always wanted to travel, you see. See new places, meet new people, learn new tongues. I also enjoy being the tallest person in the room. Ha. This went from a reading of Devil's Gambit to fucking ASMR. This turned into ASMR, apparently. But eventually, I arrived here. And I fell in love with the town. So I settled down. It's a great town. It's a shame I didn't have the chance to visit again until now. Then you took the job because you wanted to see Cadgan again. I'm about to take a bite from my sandwich when the last sentence caused me to tense up. The fruit and meat slip out of slip out from the front, hitting me in the chin and before falling to the plate with a plop. Gay ASMR. This is now an ASMR channel. This is now an ASMR channel. I need to get the green screen up so that way I can dance. Maya Winky. Fucking brain blast. Just. Except I can't dance worth shit. Where did that come from? Sorry, but you look so happy when he was around. I figured he was your favorite part of town. He doesn't say anything strange, Hector. He's just fooling around. I still consider him my best friend. So, yes, I miss him. I've heard Cadgan used to be different. Definitely. I think he became a peacekeeper. He always disobeyed the adults. He used to throw rocks at the windows, put bugs in people's shoes, toss a bag's worth of salt into the food, and tell creepy stories. He had no shortage of those. What a gutsy child. And you befriended him. Thinking back, maybe he let me get close because he was lonely. Some nights I'd sneak out to go to his room. We'd sit together in bed and read a book until he fell asleep. The only problem was that he wouldn't want me to leave the next morning. But see, Cadgan wasn't just a menace. He was a pretty smart boy too. I suppose he just mellowed out with age. Very true. Though I'm surprised to hear he was so energetic. Why? It's just that you mentioned he was one of your father's patients. I figured he was sick when you were around. I suppose not. He was, but it wasn't the kind of disease that had him debilitated the entire time. Dad didn't like to admit it, but we never really understood what was wrong with him. He just got better one day. It could be we weren't meant to understand it, and that Cadgan had fallen ill for a reason other than suffering from an imbalance. Circumstances had been too perfect. Had it happened a year earlier or later, I wouldn't have been with Dad, and I wouldn't have set foot in Renai. Dad kept bringing me after the first time because he realized Cadgan trusted me. He needed me here to do his job, so the timing had to be crucial. As though God planned our encounter, willed it, this is what I believe to this day. I wonder if His Grace Manuel wouldn't have a clue. Do you think so? If he can't identify that mysterious disease, then no one can. I immediately recall the mask and that furious glare, but as much as the Duke intimidates me, Orwell was onto something. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to ask him the next time I see him. As much as I'm satisfied with my answer, Dad would have liked to know the truth if there is any. After finishing dinner, I wish the dragon a good night and go upstairs. Tired as I am, and with the full belly, the wolves' voices don't keep the dreams away for long. I was hoping to run into Cadgan again today. We should read a book together sometime. We're not kids anymore, but I'd still like to fall asleep next to him, like in the old times. I wish he was here now. New journal entries have been unlocked. Act 1, Chapter 5. Leopoldino. Watching Cadgan, I came to understand what Dad once said about bad influences. I didn't get why I would let myself get dragged into trouble, but I was too naive. What he meant was that I would want it. Breaking the rules felt good. Liberating. Sometimes when we were out in the forest, Cadgan would look off in some direction away from the mansion for a long time, as though weighing his options. But where would a child run off to? The Duke controlled the town. Deeper into the forest was certain death, and the guards would easily capture him in the fields. Instead of running, he made trouble for the guards, servants, and anyone near enough to catch on fire. But Leopoldino didn't care about broken windows, missing jewelry, or shiny things the wolf touched without permission. The Duke displayed his riches to inspire respect, the kind that reminds you of your position in life. For a short while, Cadgan looked to me like a pitiful, powerless child. That changed one day when Leopoldino got him to join us for breakfast. Spiteful as he was, Cadgan used this as a chance to embarrass the Duke by breaking all table manners. A disdainful look exhausted the lion's patience, and he slapped the wolf. Cadgan grinned then. He hunched over, holding his cheek in pain, but grinned nonetheless. And it tore into the Duke, hurting him inscrutably. I don't know why, but it felt like some kind of justice. As an adult, I can look back, knowing how tyrannical Leopoldino was. A child standing up to him and hitting him in the one place that hurt was no small thing. Even after he sent Cadgan to his room, we weren't hungry anymore, as though we were afraid the overflowing venom between the two had contaminated the food. When I checked on Cadgan later and told him this, he laughed, and then laughed some more at my gasped expression. But whenever Cadgan woke up after going unconscious, it was as though his illness had robbed him of all energy. Dad called it cyclical lethargy. Rather than resuming his usual antics, the wolf stayed in his room and only came out much later, either for a walk or dinner. Even in front of the Duke, he just lowered his head and remained silent. I was accompanying him on one of his walks through the hallways when I commented he looked tired. I feel fine. I think you're imagining it. You've checked with Prismillium a bunch of times, and yes, you seem perfectly fine after you wake up, but it's so unlike you to just sit in your room not making any trouble. Give me some credit. Then again, you seem to like trouble, so maybe you'll like to know that I commit a little mischief at night. Oh? Every night I take a book to my room to read it. It is not allowed to touch the bookshelves without permission, but as long as you return it, no one has to know. You should join me one of these nights, Hector. It'd be fun. I'll even let you pick what you want to read. By which he meant I had to steal the book myself. A few nights later, I was watching Dad snore from my bed, trying to gather the courage to get up. What if I made too much noise and woke him up? What if he woke up in the middle of the night and didn't find me? But then I recalled Cadgan holding his cheek, him grinning, and the venom. I couldn't tell if it was envy or admiration that ultimately encouraged me to sneak out and head to his room, making a brief detour to visit the bookshelf I had picked that morning. What'd you bring tonight, Hector? A book on herbalism. You mentioned how you'd like to know what Dad is doing to you, so... Come, let's see. We sat shoulder to shoulder on the bed, Cadgan holding the book, sharing warmth and soft fur. Oh, gold root. This is the one you make into tea when you have a stomach ache, right? It says it can treat heart and stomach diseases and in some species, boost fertility. However, its most common use is easing the symptoms of diarrhea. Pretty impressive for a home remedy. Many home remedies are like less refined versions of elixirs. What's the difference, that you mix it with more stuff? Not quite. Illness is the manifestation of an imbalance in your life force, the magic in your body. For example, let's say you get a fever. A good herbalist will first check you with a Prismillium crystal to see what's wrong. Most of the time, a fire fruit elixir will help address the imbalance, maybe mixed with some moon glow to lower your body temperature until you get better. Although a worse herbalist will just give you the moon glow. But can't the fire fruit also make you sick of the stomach? That's why you brew an elixir rather than just feeding the patient raw ingredients. Animals and plants possess magic too. That's why they can be poison, sickness, or medicine. Brewing filters out the harmful parts while bringing out the healing ones. But it's a pretty complicated process. You can't brew an elixir for a badger the same way you would for a wolf. It also depends on the layers you want it to affect. Give him a mega elixir from Final Fantasy. Give him one of those and he'll be all magical. He'll fully be able to, when you walk away, you won't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go. Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let me go. Before the Duke employed us, we were on a trip across neighboring countries so I could get first-hand experience treating and brewing elixirs for other species. Dad certainly didn't plan for me to get this much practice on wolves. Which species do you think these recipes are for? Badgers, I think. Wonder if someone from my country wrote it. See, that's why God blessed us with such good noses, so we'd be unmatched herbalists. Like with the nuts. I shift, putting my chin on the wolf's shoulders. He was looking somewhere far away now. What's on your mind? What you said about plants having magic reminded me of the Eye Valley. That's another one of Renai's legends, isn't it? Not a legend. The Eye Valley still exists beyond the forest, though no one goes there because it's too dangerous. But they say that there are things in the soil near it that change the vegetation here. Dad was complaining once that the ingredients we got from the forest were too strong. That's because of the Eye Valley? I yawned and nuzzled up to his chest. What's wrong? It's so early. I'm getting comfortable. Cadgan shifted and wrapped an arm around me before he continued reading. Every once in a while, he'd ask me something and I'd mumble a reply. While not tired, I was sleepy. The sleepiness felt when sitting by a campfire in the dark, with licking flames capturing my gaze and warmth cradling my trembling body.
It's time to drink water.
It probably was around midnight when Cadgan yawned, put the book down on the nightstand, and extinguished the lamp's fire. We laid down together, his hand on mine, as we drifted off. New journal entries unlocked. They're gay! Act 1, Chapter 6. Ignorant Man. Oh no. We're gay! We're very fucking gay. His hand on mine as we lay down. His grip tightens. He raises his arms above his head and brings him down. He splits the log clean in half, though I only see the moment both halves fall off the stump. I'm sitting behind Cadgan, watching him, taking all of him in. From hands to shoulders, every crease of his gray back, his tail poking out of the hole under his belt. And oh! Well, hello. I don't think I can show that. God damn! I gotta twin with him. I simply have to. Let me take my hair down real quick. Well, I'm banned. It was nice knowing you all. Just kidding. Here's the funny thing. This game isn't on the banned list, and if not safe for work content is unavoidable, then it's okay. I mean, cyberpunk is allowed. Oh, he's absolutely putting on a show for Hector. So yeah, I'm a little too familiar with the Twitch terms of service. Yeah, I am trying to twin with Cadgan right now, and it is going horribly. Okay, I already got like the hair sectioned out, and I'm pulling the bun back. I'm just gonna do it messily. I'm gonna do that messily. That it looks terrible. It looks absolutely horrendous. Now I need to find 2 more hair ties. This time for the braids. I'm gonna do the right side first. Real quick, I'm gonna do the right side first. I have not had to braid hair in a while. Fucking 69. We eating good tonight? Oh, we absolutely are. My hair is so wonky right now. Okay, so, it goes there. Meep, meep. Bada bing, bada boom. I don't know how to do hair. I both do and don't. Braiding hair is ouchy. How do people tolerate twisting their hair? Well, I mean, my hair is long. It's really fucking long. So, I mean, I can tolerate it. It's mostly like the pulling back that's the ouchie. Alrighty, let me get that behind my ear so that way... Oh, and it is going to stay in the front. Nice, wonderful. Now for the other braid. I look like I'm about to do a... One day I'm going to stream and have a Karen cut. You know what? I'm just not going to twin with him. I'm just not going to twin with him. I'm taking this all down and pulling my hair back into a bun. Fucking... Yeah, that's my secret. Whenever I twin with a character, I secretly eat them. That's my secret. That's all I do. One day I'm going to stream and have a Karen cut. I will... How do I phrase this? I will use Noche's name in vain before I get a Karen cut. Like, right now, I have a Death Hawk, which is sort of bordering on a fucking it's bordering on a fucking mullet. Like, if I were to style it, it would look like I have a fucking mullet. If I were to cut it, it's... I don't know. Hair is weird. Okay, so already I've been clipped. Okay, nice. I'm gonna see what that is real quick. I'm gonna see what that is real quick. I'm gonna watch it real quick. How bad is it? Like on a scale of 1 to 10. Yes, that's allowed. Okay. How would I look with the wolf cut? I think I can just style it to look like a wolf cut. The bleached ends wouldn't like it, but I can deal with that. The wolf looks back at me and talks, but I take a while to remember what words are and how to speak. I'm sorry. What did you say? Got your head in the clouds? I was just thinking about work. What a coincidence, I said. How did the meeting with the Duke go? It was going well until the end. Somehow I set him off. I heeded your warning, of course. Or rather, he became angry before I could reply. You still have your head and everything in place, so it couldn't have been that bad. Maybe I stared at his mask, but I didn't mean to. It just baffled me. What did? And oh dear, oh my. Oh my. Hydration. Cadgan turns to face me, his naked chest and shoulders in full display. How scandalous. They expand and contract with every breath, lowering my eyes in further. My hands move themselves to my lap. Not only did he mention the demons of Renai, he said they still exist. I should have mentioned that, but I figured you were used to everybody here going, demons this or demons that. From the townsfolk, but not from the Duke. What do you think? Could they still be around? The past is the past. Nothing you say can change that, even if you're a noble. His words sting me, and the cold from yesterday rears its head. Come on, Hector, he is talking about a different matter altogether. Don't let your memories distract you from what's in front of you. Besides, you are too old to be sharing a bed and holding hands, no? Head in the clouds again? No. Anyway, what is he saying then? Surely he didn't convert to demon worship. I figure it's because of one of the early incidents of the Eye Valley expedition. Back then, we had more lion workers in town because they hadn't been scared away yet. While Cadgan is telling the tale of what happened back then, my eyes drift off to the forest. I can almost see them. Dozens of lions crossing into the valley. Listening closely by beasts pulling wagons. As they near the cursed chasm, they come across ruins. Whether they have of wolven origin or belong to a different long-gone civilization, they don't know. All paint and most engravings have faded or crumbled, leaving no clues at a glance. Crossing the forest has proved challenging, despite all their preparations. It rejects all who attempt to reach what lies beyond it, be it through fallen trees, rivers overflowing, or wild animals. But now they're almost here. All they need is a ruin that has a ceiling, and for that place not to look like it'll collapse any second. They don't trust this place. They've heard about the dangers in the past expeditions led by Duke Leopoldino and many others who once laid claim to the land. So they send two to check if the walls are holding up, or if the terrace still supports their weight. Are there any predators or pests nesting here? They stop when they find a fitting ruin to make into an outpost. Tomorrow they'll venture into the twisting, breaching depths of the valley in search of a spot to build a settlement. The first of many, according to the Duke. That night, a scout goes up to the terrace to escape the dense air in the ruins. One beast below whimpers. It must have seen a wild animal, he thinks. He looks down, searching for it. Then he spots a shadow dashing toward the woods, along with two bloody rubies that stare back at him. Cadgan brings his axe down again, then adds the wood to the pile beside him. In the following days, the men fell ill one by one, until there weren't enough people to continue the expedition. After their return, the same scout kept saying the shadow was a demon. The Duke dismissed it as a delirium at first, but came around to believing it later. God, that reminds me of some of the curses I've read about. What happened then? Sweet bugs. They are parasitic insects that infest fruit to get eaten and lay eggs inside a host. They were very active this time of year. The lions didn't notice them in the ruins and they got in their food. A demon being behind it would be less nightmarish. They only live in the valley, thankfully. I'm never going there. What happened to the lions? They got better, but the more incidents that took place, the stronger the demon rumors grew, scaring more lions away, and the ones that returned home warned others against participating in the expedition, even mentioning the demons. That's how we arrived here. Since he can't get more lions, the Duke is plucking wolves from this town instead, and hiring doctors to patch them up when they get hurt. I must say, this makes me feel guilty that I'm taking the Duke's money. Don't be, it's nobody's fault but the Duke's. Cadgan lets go of his axe and throws his arms back in a long stretch. I grip my knees, nails digging into fabric. Head into the river, you coming? And then through fabric and fur into my skin. Nah, I'm just fucking with you. On the way to the river, I'm barely holding a chuckle. I'm walking a few steps behind Cadgan, hoping he doesn't notice. It would be no wonder if he did. The moment he had mentioned the river, my mind conjured a most scandalous image of me and the wolf bathing together. Me minding my own business when he suddenly tackles me from behind, wrapping his arms around me. One of these days, I'm going to let them win. I'm going to pull up the censor. One of these days, the voices are going to win, and I'm going to end up getting... And my ass is going to get banned. The moment he had... Yeah, already read that. Then we play wrestle before I let him work my back and shoulders with those large, rugged hands. His fingers scrub away the filth, undoing the knots under my skin. How silly I had felt, and when in reality... He came back out of his shack with his cape on, carrying a bucket full of clothes in one hand and a board in the other. Such an idiot jumping to conclusions. Aww. I'm sad now. Words can't bring me down. I am beautiful, no matter what they say. This can't be just nostalgia or me being impressed at how much my friend has grown, but what is it then? Makes me so afraid to think about it that my mind goes numb. And with good reason. Hector, you couldn't handle it. I'm just going to make an announcement. This is my new Twitch account. You already have enough on your plate. Please be happy just watching Cadgan. You don't need his hands on yours or your back. Being here with him is enough reason to be happy. Don't squander it. Besides, I might be jumping to conclusions again. Cadgan always brings out my rash side. Here we are. We climb down to the riverbank and Cadgan places his things next to a boulder. Then he undoes the straps on his chest. What are you doing? I don't want these clothes to get wet. The wolf tosses his spalders and cape aside, and his pants are next. I gulp as he reveals a well-worn loincloth under. Then he empties the bucket on the bank before sitting down and getting to work. By the way, I got sidetracked with the Duke and whatnot. I wanted to ask how your first day of work went. Get our magnifying glasses on. No. You know what? We want to be able to see it. I want to be able to see it really well. So let me just... So that way I can see it really well. Now I can see it really well. Fuck. Wrong button. I hope nobody gave you trouble. Some more of the thick-headed folk reject the doctor's help because the Duke hired them. I can't blame them for their anger, but they are directing it at the wrong people. No, they were most kind. Good to know. It's silent except for the noise of Cadgan rinsing his clothes before throwing them onto the rock to scrub, and beat them with the board. When he's finished with the piece, he throws it back into the bucket and moves on to the next. God, his pants were barely holding him back before now. That loincloth. Nope, stop thinking about anything else, Hector. Talk to him. I've been meaning to ask, where did you get these? The armor one morning a knight showed up at home with that and a bag of coins, dropped them off, and told me to keep doing a good job. I learned Manuel appointed me as peacekeeper the same day. Imagine my surprise. Can I see it? The wolf nods and I kneel next to the armor. It's so heavy that I can't imagine wearing it for a few minutes, let alone most of the day as Cadgan does. Even my untrained eyes can tell it's high quality work. Not only the spaulders, but the cape too. Only knights wear things like this. My nose catches a spicy yet pleasant aroma towards the middle of the cape. It's hard to sense it with the smell of the earth and Cadgan mixed in, so I bring it closer to sniff it. It's familiar, like I've sensed traces of this before. Pollen from a flower I never paid any mind to, perhaps. Cadgan, what does this smell? I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the full screen sensor, because I don't fucking trust this. Okay. His dick ain't out. The wolf's ear twitches as he comes to my side. I didn't think this through. He's too close. He takes a whiff and, after a moment, chuckles. Well, aren't you being cheeky? What are you talking about? Before I can ask, he reaches out to his pants and cautiously smells the backside. My heart stops. I guess I'll clean these too. Oh. Oh. Um. He clumps the cape and pants before tossing them into the pile of dirty laundry. When he gets up with a grunt, undoes his loincloth, and zends it with the rest of his clothes. I can see everything. Since we were at it, you want me to watch anything of yours, Hector? Don't worry, I can dry it in no time. No, thank you. Alright. As though he had thrown away his carefulness alongside his clothes, Cadgan walks into the river to continue working, not minding in the least that he's getting wet. Ah, fuck. Fucking... Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. I know! Better safe than sorry. If he'll be doing laundry naked, then he might as well get a bit cleaner in the process, he must be thinking. As for me, I'm trying to not be too obvious in my attempt to hide the... His muscles being relaxed compared to when he was cutting wood doesn't make them any less mesmerizing. My god, is he as soft as he looks? I wonder how it would feel to lie on him. Work aside, are you enjoying being back in town? Oh, yes, although I haven't had a chance to relax and talk to people just yet. Besides you, I mean... Who did you have in mind? I had been thinking Finbar, but it turns out I got assigned to him, so I saw him this morning. Surprised, he's always been on the shorter side for a wolf, but he still used to be so stocky. It has been rough on him, it happens. I guess so. At least his children are helping him with the forge. Though it seems teaching them to use it has been a big undertaking too. Big indeed, yes. Cadgan is saying something, probably about Finbar, but what's in front of me occupies my entire world. My ears as a doctor... Yeah, I'm not reading that. Hector? Hello? Sorry, I was just thinking... Did you get enough sleep last night? It's just, I need to take a leak, but I don't want to interrupt you. I'll be right back. Sure thing. God damn it, Hector. I hide behind a tree farther than needed. Kinky. Half the shit I'm not going to read. Yeah, this is free. Thankfully, Cadgan is too busy to notice how long it took me to return. We talk about my patience, me keeping my eyes on the river all the while until the wolf finishes cleaning. Everything but what he was wearing gets thrown into the bucket. Are you going back like this, or... Oh, of course not. Cadgan looks for a spot with some exposed dirt, then he buries a claw into the earth and moves his arms, drawing a circle and a shape inside of it. Sigil? I didn't know you were mage too. I worked at the shrine for a while, learned some tricks. After tracing a circle around the sigil, Cadgan tosses wet clothes on top of it and touches the ground. Here around his palm glows as he releases magic, as does the sigil. Perhaps he put too much magic into it, seeing as the sigil's glow intensifies before waning for an instant. But he stabilizes it, and soon the humidity evaporates from his clothes. He then steps on the sigil to dry himself enough to put them back on. Oh, thank God he's not naked anymore. That was terrifying. Good enough, I'll hang the rest to dry. It's a relief that I don't have to keep my gaze from drifting down to his crotch anymore. Now, if only I could look him in the face instead of the chest. See, I haven't even done that. You know what? Just for you. Just for you. Just for you. Give me a minute. Just for you. Yeah, give me a minute. Yeah, no. When you're not in Discord, just... What Dad never warned me about bad influences, probably because he hoped it would never get to this point, was that they were like toppling a stack of stones. You hit one section and the entire thing crumbled down. Gives me -1 minute. Oh no. On summer night, I'd been sleeping on the wolf's bed with the book in my hands when Cadgan shook me awake. When I pried my eyes open and saw darkness beyond the window, I groaned and turned my back to him. Hector, I have an idea. The river, wanna go there? Alright. He shook my shoulder. I don't mean tomorrow, but now I know a way out and no one will notice. Those words sobered me up. Cadgan's proposal worried me some, but it was also exciting. Like, breaking the boundary I began pushing with our nocturnal reading sessions. However, I wonder what his escape plan was. Security around the mansion was at its tightest at night, and although they'd let the wolf do as he pleased during the day, I doubted they'd let a child wander into the forest when it was dark. Maybe he could have sneaked past them, but me? Impossible. The way he was pulling at his collar, as though nervous, inspired little confidence. Just create a new account. When we reached the staircase, I made to head downstairs, but Cadgan took my hand and pointed toward the Duke's study. This way. Thought we were going outside. You'll get it when you see it. Come on. We stopped in front of a large portrait hanging in the hallway leading to the study. A tall lion lady was sitting with her hands on her lap. A green garden barely visible behind her. Her gray, sad gaze was upon us. Who is she? Why do you want to know? Do you fancy lionesses? I punched him in the shoulder, but Cadgan made fun of me for how weak it was. Then he told me to hold still while he climbed on my shoulders. Here. There was a click and the portrait's frame came loose, or rather, the wall behind it did. The wolf hopped off my shoulders, nearly knocking me down, and pulled the wall open. Tell no one, but I found this one night. A secret passage? Where does it lead? The middle of the forest, I guess. Who knows what the Duke was thinking? It's not that simple. Oh shit, are you permabanned? Your IP address is banned. Oh. Oh. Hang on. Like, what did you do? What did you do? Hang on. My God. Try calling their customer service. Try calling customer service. Middle of forest, I guess. Who knows what the Duke was thinking? The wolf stepped into the opening, and when I noticed I wasn't following, he turned back with a quizzical expression. What's a holdup? Are you sure this is safe? What if there are guards in there? There aren't any. He offered me his hand, blue eyes shining like gems in the dark. They were so deep and pretty. After some hesitation, I took it and followed him into the darkness. The portrait hid a ladder, at the bottom of which laid a tunnel permeated by a musty smell. I held on to Cadgan's shoulder while we crossed it. At the end was a cellar door exiting into the forest. I don't know if that's how it works. The night enveloped us with its starry arms and lukewarm winds that rustled the leaves. The wolf reacted to my awe by crossing his arms with that searing smile of his. I'm starting to think you only invited me to the river because you wanted to show off your secret. Yep, it's too cold at night. I can't even take a dip, but I still want you to see the river. It looks like a piece of the sky fell. But how do we get back? It's so dark. We mark our territory so we can find the door, duh. Oh, really? It was so simple that it sounded true, but Cadgan snickered at me. No, dummy, I carved the trees. Indeed, many trees on the way to the river had been chipped, forming a trail. Oh, he absolutely is. The river, as Cadgan had put it, looked like a piece of the sky fell off, with stars floating on top of the surface as though they were flower petals. The wolf ran toward it and crouched. I expected him to turn around to reveal a star in his hands. Instead, he gathered water to drink it, wiping the river's surface clean. The stars returned shortly after, but the illusion of this being a piece of the sky had been shattered, and the anticipation Cadgan had built up during this little adventure lost in the ripples. Though it surprised me how little I cared. I wasn't transfixed by the river, but by the wolf. At times I thought I admired him so much that I envied him, and wanted to be like him. Such a naive and sweet misunderstanding. Went so much deeper into places I didn't know existed, tapping into emotions I couldn't put into words, because I never had to before. Deprived of words, when the wolf turned to me with a half-wet face and chest, I hugged him instead, as though to melt into him, to never be split apart again, and when he patted me on the head in response, I barely held tears back. However, the body's language isn't as precise as that of the word. Although it's honest, the gaps of uncertainty can be as wide as a darkness separating the stars. No matter how strong my longing, I couldn't imagine a word for it other than friendship. The truth eluded me then, so let me remember now how I truly felt by the starry stream. Act 1, Chapter 8. Into the Eye Valley. Hang on. Let me just... A raspy voice asks me to wait, followed by a clattering iron and arduous steps. Old man Finbar opens the door, his eyebrows betraying his worry. Hector! What a surprise! I have a late shift at the hospital today, so I figured I'd stop by here earlier. Can I come in? Of course! Excuse me for the mess. Every time I enter the shop while Finbar's family isn't around, the air is humid and the forge is slightly hot. Today I find the embers lit in full blazing glory, as well as a hammer and a pair of tongs lying on the workbench. Seeing my fears realized, I could only sigh. Finbar. Stop working. or your leg won't heal right. He shrugs. Today I woke up with I'm just gonna give him an old man voice. Today I woke up with so much energy. Please? It's not the first time you do this. You're not good at hiding it, but I knew you would deny it unless I caught you in the act. You underestimate how much strength this sack of fleas has left. I came out of my mama's womb blacksmithing, son, and that's how I'll die. Don't be so dramatic. You're not dying. But you'll have to do all your blacksmithing from this chair if you keep this up. Now, back to bed. As I'm hurrying him along, my eyes stop on the forge for a moment. I'll concede to Finbar that he has lost nothing but youth in these long 9 years, much like the embers which still shine a blinding orange and make the air around them waver. I remember the bell jingling as Dad barges in like a ritual. Our first stop when arriving in town is Finbar's shop. The blacksmith lays his tools down and pulls Dad into a hug. Then he notices me staring and asks if I'm hungry. Sent off to either play with the twins or eat some berries in the kitchen while the two catch up, bringing up names and places I don't know or have only heard about. But even though he's an uncle to me, and even though the kiss he planted on my forehead during our reunion put a smile on my face, now I'm his doctor, and I must see he gets much needed rest. There's no better remedy for the stubbornness of old bored people than a listening ear. So after he gets in bed, I keep him company until his family gets back. You don't get it. No one else works the forge like I do. Indeed. She needs action. I need action. I'm sure you can find a less physically taxing activity. Let your son do the blacksmithing. I promise he'll get as good as you in time. Your dad would have understood. He'd be tearing his mustache off by now. Finbar cackles but then falls silent. It's hard to believe he's gone. I see he left you some of my handiwork. He forces a smile and points at my belt, or rather at the buckle. He always wore it when he came to her and I. Must have made him feel like part of town. A fine piece of work, don't you think? Certainly. I don't know if it was that old or that it originated from here. What? You didn't even recognize the two planets. They are a nice staple. Let me show you how to put my sketchbook. No, lay down. It's time for your examination. The moment he tries to get up, I stop him and put on my glasses. I don't need Prismillium to tell his leg hasn't healed. That's all the more reason to keep him in bed. I remove my glasses and shake my head. How does the Duke expect you to get back to work? Who knows? He'll just call whoever can walk to join the expedition. Well, the silver lining is that since you're not making a full recovery soon, you'll be safe. Hey, you're just like your dad sometimes. Finbar's expression turns somber as he stares at somewhere behind me. But then he'll call my son instead Hector. If only the demons stopped interfering, then maybe the Duke would get whatever it is he wants and let us be once and for all. But... Cut short by the jingling of the bell and footsteps approaching from the shop. Finbar's wife comes into the room fuming, and as soon as she sees the old blacksmith, starts hunting him for explanations about why the forge is lit. It's nice she cares so much about him. As I'm taking my leave, I recall the blacksmith's words toward the end. I don't know if it's because he also believes in the demons or because of the way he looked over my shoulder, but they make me uneasy. But now Cadgan joining me after work is part of my routine. Despite his reassurances, paying off Sean's debt had hurt his pocket to the point he skipped dinner most nights. With Arwell's Nest being our meeting spot, I have a convenient excuse to treat him. No matter how tasty the dragon's cooking is, it'd be difficult to enjoy while my friend is going hungry next to me. You're here for the people of Oblon because you need all the money you can get. But Cadgan is just as important, so I'll feed him too. Thank you. Don't mention it. What have you been up to? The Duke wanted to talk. The next attempt at the expedition starts tomorrow. Is he expecting trouble? He takes a moment to savor his food, then talks in a quiet voice. We all are. The Duke wanted me to swear I'd do all in my power to catch that demon of his. Why the long face? Sorry, it's just Finbar mentioned that today, too. It's not just him and the Duke, it's... I've overheard the other wolves talking about demons every once in a while. It's getting creepy. Trust me, there's nothing to fear. What will you do then? I'll still look for signs of demonic activity, although I know I won't find any. Shouldn't he summon the Inquisitors? He'll be better equipped to deal with this. He already tried, but as far as they can see, all he's dealing with is a very dangerous valley. What he wants is proof to build his case to the Inquisitors. Anyway, expect the hospital to get busier too, Hector. Deep into the night, when all the oil lamps have been lit and a bitter veil has settled, the men in Arwell's Nest retreat to home to rest. A while after he finishes dinner, Cadgan gets up and I follow him to the door. But today I can't part with him, not yet. And although I know I'm unquenchable, that we could spend years not leaving the other side and it'd still be too little, want to squeeze every drop of time together we can get. Why do I accompany you home tonight? Are you sure? It's chilly outside. Says one going around with his chest exposed to the elements. Wolves are made for this climate. I know, I'm kidding. About your chest, I mean. Not the walking home with you part. Right. Cadgan readjusts his cape to better keep himself warm, eyes on the road. Since I came back, he's been letting my blunders pass. I wish he'd at least joke at my expense. Pushed along by the breeze, we huddle up and hurry to Cadgan's shack, drawing a short trail of pale breath behind us. There aren't any stars in the sky. It might rain again soon. I didn't remember Renai's nights being this frigid. It was summer the times we went out. You know when you wanted to show the rivers... You remember when you wanted to show the river at night, and when we got there, the first thing you did was slurp up the water? Way to spoil the mood. I was thirsty. What else should I have done? Hoped for a smile on his lips, just the slightest one, and in the shadows cast, I thought I saw it. A smirk like when we were boys, but as soon as the light from the oil lamp struck, I saw him freeze. I saw him frozen. As always, that impassive scowl. He glances at a street leading to the Baron. Do you think about the past often, Hector? Yes, it's very nostalgic being back. I never stayed long in town, but I missed you. I missed you too. A gust hits us as we arrive at his shack. Cadgan turns to me, holding his cape as though it would fly away otherwise. What is he thinking as I hug myself, shoulders tight as I attempt to conserve heat? He'd tease me for being so thin-skinned, but invite me inside nonetheless. It's not a big place, so I might have to sleep on the floor. No, he would share the bed with me. Lying together, his arms around my waist, me resting my head on his chest. The idea produces a longing so deep it's as though there's a pit where my stomach should be. But none of it comes to pass. Cadgan gives me a small smile as he walks up to the door. See you tomorrow. Good night. Good night. We exchange one last look before the wolf goes inside, and I turn tail back to Arwell's nest. I've missed Cadgan. Even before I stepped into Renai, I'm reminded of every little burn mark he left behind, and I yearn for that fire again. Then what is this shiver starting at my fingers, spreading throughout my entire body? The wolf's breath is more frigid than the night's veil, and his gaze sometimes freezes me in place. The embers have long gone cold, turned to ashes and lost in the wind. Only vestiges remind me of the wolf I knew. It's not strange that he's good to his fellow compatriots. No, neither is that he grew out of going on adventures, being older and busier. But would the old Cadgan have put up with the Duke's impossible demands, especially when he's been tormenting Renai for an entire year? Why is he so calm? Where did all the impulsiveness and spite go? I always feel like somebody's watching me. And then there is that he doesn't sneer at me anymore. Hasn't rubbed in my face once about how much bigger and stronger he's gotten. It's not that he changed. Too much is just not there anymore. I'm happy just seeing him again, but are all those things I liked gone? Did I notice my feelings far too late? I should have come back earlier. Only the plague hadn't hit if Dad didn't die. If that damned Leopoldino, may his soul burn in hell, didn't... The wind whistles, driving the trees into a full rut. Suddenly, it's as though every smell in the forest is encroaching on me, root and branch alike reaching out to scrape my nape and dig for the bone underneath. I turn around with a jerk, but there are no shadows, nor red glowing eyes, just rustling leaves. Are you imagining demons now, Hector? Go to bed and stop thinking about this. Remember, you are a doctor, Eogan's masterpiece. You should be happy that you are so close to fulfilling Dad's dream. Don't waste that by shedding tears over a future that didn't come to be. Sleep, Hector. We're gonna leave off here tonight. Stay safe. Have a good night. And I will see you all tomorrow.